All right, so have you ever thought, what in the world is a Visual Studio developer, and why would I even need one?
Well,
We're going to be diving into the most common questions that you have about hiring these specialized developers.
oh, okay.
You can think of this as like your cheat sheet
Yep.
to making really informed decisions without getting lost in all the tech jargon.
Right.
And if you want to cut straight to personalized recommendations,
Mm,
head over to theperfectdeveloper.com
okay.
and try the 5 questions tool.
I like that.
It's seriously like magic, but more on that later.
So what's so fascinating about Visual Studio developers is that they have this deep connection to the Microsoft world.
Oh, okay.
They live and breathe things like C#, .NET, Azure.
Right.
And that's not just a bunch of letters and symbols.
Yeah.
That's what powers a huge chunk of software out there,
Yeah.
especially in the business world.
So if my company is basically swimming in Microsoft products,
Yeah,
these are the folks to call.
exactly. Think of it this way.
Okay.
If you need surgery, you want a heart surgeon, not a podiatrist.
Right.
Visual Studio developers are those specialized experts for all things Microsoft.
That makes sense. But what does that even look like in terms of actual projects?
Yeah.
Besides just knowing the Microsoft stuff, what do they build?
Everything from like those classic Windows desktop applications that you might still use
Right.
to like slick web apps, mobile experiences, even cloud solutions.
Wow.
And here's the kicker, Visual Studio isn't just a coding platform.
Okay.
It's got these built-in tools like IntelliSense, which
Yeah.
is like having a super-powered autocorrect for code, and
Oh.
powerful debuggers that help them squash bugs faster than you can say software glitch.
So it's not just about what they know, but the
Oh.
tools they use
Right.
helps them create better quality products.
Precisely. These tools are directly tied to producing cleaner code, which means fewer errors,
Okay.
faster development times, and
Mhm.
ultimately a smoother experience for the end user,
Yeah.
whether that's your employees or your customers.
Okay, that's super helpful to know.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm convinced I need a Visual Studio developer.
Okay.
What specific skills should I be on the lookout for?
Well, C# and .NET proficiency is a given. That's
Yeah.
their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But beyond just knowing the language,
Mm.
I would look for someone who can demonstrate a deep understanding of how to use these to create elegant solutions.
Right.
Think of it like a chef
Okay.
who knows how to expertly combine ingredients to create a perfectly balanced dish.
Okay.
Not just someone who can follow a recipe.
So not just a code monkey,
Right.
but someone who can really think through the problem
Yeah.
and craft a solution.
Exactly. And increasingly, cloud services are becoming vital.
Right.
So experience with Microsoft Azure is a huge asset because it means they can build solutions that scale
Oh.
and adapt as your company grows.
Right.
ThePerfectDeveloper.com actually specializes in finding developers with this kind of expertise,
Oh, okay.
which is a real bonus if you're looking for that cloud-savvy skill set.
Now, I've heard this term agile thrown around a lot in the tech world.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean in the context of Visual Studio developers?
It's not just about being able to change plans quickly.
Right.
Agile methodologies are about how a development team works together.
Oh.
It's about constant communication,
Hmm.
being adaptable to change,
Yeah.
and delivering value in smaller increments.
So if my company is all about moving fast and iterating, I'd want someone who's comfortable in that kind of agile environment.
Absolutely. It's not just a buzzword.
Yeah.
It's a completely different way of approaching software development
Okay.
that can be incredibly beneficial.
All right. I'm getting a much clearer picture of what to look for,
Good.
but I have to ask, what are the benefits of going specifically with a Visual Studio developer?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, couldn't any developer, say someone who knows Java or Python,
Yeah.
just pick up C#?
While any skilled developer can learn new languages,
Right.
the beauty of hiring a Visual Studio specialist
Oh.
lies in their deep familiarity with the entire ecosystem.
Hmm.
They're not just coding,
Right.
they're plugged into the Microsoft world,
Yeah.
which can be hugely advantageous.
So you're saying it's about more than just the code itself.
Right. It's about understanding the nuances of the platform,
Okay.
the tools, and how everything fits together.
Mhm.
Plus, they can hit the ground running on projects that are heavily integrated with other Microsoft products.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if my company is deeply rooted in Microsoft technology,
Yeah.
a Visual Studio developer is going to be more efficient and productive
Exactly.
than someone coming in cold.
They'll have a leg up, especially if you're working with things like Office 365,
Right.
Teams, or even gaming platforms like Xbox.
Wow.
It's all connected, and theperfectdeveloper.com understands those connections,
Got
which
it.
is why they're so good at finding the right fit.
All right, let's talk money.
Okay.
What kind of salary can I expect to pay a Visual Studio developer?
Well, in the US, you're looking at a range of $85,000 to $120,000 per year on average.
Okay.
But there are so many factors
Yeah.
that influence the actual number.
So what makes that range fluctuate so much?
Experience level is huge.
Right.
Someone straight out of school
Mm.
won't command the same salary as someone with 10 years of experience building complex enterprise applications.
Right.
And then there's the location.
Yeah, of course.
Silicon Valley is going to be more expensive than, say, hiring in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Specific skills also play a huge role.
Okay.
A Visual Studio developer with deep Azure cloud expertise
Mm-hmm.
is going to be in high demand and command a higher salary.
Wow. So it's not as simple as just throwing out a number.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
that's where a resource like theperfectdeveloper.com can really help you.
Okay.
They have a deep understanding of the market
Right.
and can guide you towards realistic salary expectations based on your specific needs and
Yeah.
location.
Okay, that's a relief to know. So let's say I've got a good handle on the skills, the benefits, and the salary range.
Yeah.
But what about the actual hiring process?
Mm-hmm.
Full-time, part-time, contract, outsourcing.
Right.
What's the best way to bring one of these developers on board?
There isn't one right answer.
Okay.
It really depends on your specific needs
Okay.
and how much control you want to have over the project.
Let's break it down a bit.
Sure.
What are the pros and cons of each option?
Full-time offers stability and loyalty,
Okay.
but it's a bigger commitment.
Right.
And often means higher costs.
Mm-hmm.
Part-time or contract hiring can be great for short-term projects
Yeah.
or when you just need extra hands on deck,
Right.
but you may have less control over their schedule.
Okay. Makes sense. What about outsourcing?
Outsourcing can give you access to a wider pool of talent
Okay.
and often comes with lower costs.
Right.
But there might be communication challenges due to time zones or cultural differences.
Oh, okay. So I really need to think about what's most important to me and my company.
Exactly. It's about aligning your hiring strategy with your project goals and your budget.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is another area where theperfectdeveloper.com can really shine.
Oh, okay.
They can help you navigate the complexities of each option
Yeah.
and find the model that best suits your needs.
They seem to have this whole thing down to a science.
They do a good job.
But are there any common pitfalls to watch out for when hiring Visual Studio developers?
Oh, definitely. One challenge is the potential for specialization within a specialization.
Oh, wow.
Visual Studio developers are already experts in the Microsoft world,
Right.
but some might be hyper-focused on certain aspects,
Yeah.
like web development or cloud computing.
So I need to make sure the developer's expertise aligns with my project needs.
Absolutely. It's like hiring a chef who only makes pasta
Right.
when you're craving a steak.
Okay.
You might be hungry, but it's not exactly what you were looking for.
I like where your head's at. Good food analogies are always a win.
Another challenge is the high demand for these developers,
Right.
which can make it competitive to attract the best talent.
So what's the secret to standing out in a crowded market?
It's about being clear about your project needs,
Okay.
offering competitive compensation, and showcasing a positive company culture.
Right.
Theperfectdeveloper.com actually helps with this too.
Oh, wow.
They can position your company in a way that attracts top Visual Studio developers who are specifically looking for the type of work you offer.
Okay, that's a huge advantage. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But before we wrap up part one of this mini deep dive, are there any parting words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners who are on the hunt for their perfect Visual Studio developer?
Remember, hiring the right Visual Studio developer can be a game changer for your projects.
Right.
Especially if you're deeply embedded in the Microsoft world.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to have a clear understanding of your needs
Okay.
and do your due diligence in finding the best fit.
And as we've mentioned throughout this episode, don't underestimate the value of leveraging a platform like theperfectdeveloper.com.
Right.
They really can simplify the entire process
Mm,
and connect you with the right talent.
for sure.
But we'll dive into more details on that in part two.
Stay tuned.
We'll be back after a short break to unpack some more insights and advice on hiring Visual Studio developers.
Sounds good.
Gotcha.
Welcome back. So before the break,
Okay.
we were just discussing the benefits of using a platform like theperfectdeveloper.com.
Yeah, you've mentioned theperfectdeveloper.com a few times now.
Sure.
What exactly makes them stand out from the crowd?
Right.
There are a ton of job boards and recruiting platforms out there.
What's impressive is their unique approach. They go beyond just keyword matching and really focus on understanding the nuances of both the developer's skills
Yeah.
and your project needs.
So it's like a matchmaker for developers and companies.
Exactly. They're not just throwing resumes at you
Yeah.
and hoping something sticks.
Yeah.
They use AI and human expertise to identify the best fit for your specific situation.
Okay, you mentioned AI. Is that how they do it?
That's a big part of it. Their AI engine
Okay.
analyzes tons of data to create these detailed developer profiles that go way beyond a typical resume.
Oh, wow.
They consider things like past projects, code samples,
Yeah.
even personality traits
Okay.
to create a holistic picture of each developer.
That's pretty cool. I imagine that saves a lot of time and headaches on the company side.
It does.
And we're sifting through hundreds of irrelevant applications.
Right. And it also benefits the developers because they're more likely to be matched with opportunities that are a genuine fit for their skills and interests.
It's a win-win situation.
For sure.
You mentioned that they have a tool called the 5 Questions.
Right.
Can you tell me more about that? It sounds intriguing.
It's brilliant, really. It takes just a couple of minutes
Oh,
to
yeah.
answer 5 simple questions about your project.
Huh.
Things like the type of software you're building, your budget, your
Yeah.
timeline.
Okay, that doesn't sound too intimidating.
Not at all. And based on your answers, their system generates personalized developer recommendations.
Oh, wow.
It's like having a team of expert recruiters working for you around the clock.
So it's like a shortcut to finding the right developer.
Exactly. It eliminates a lot of the guesswork,
Right.
legwork involved in traditional hiring.
Mm-hmm.
I'd highly recommend giving it a try if you're serious about hiring a Visual Studio developer.
That's great advice.
Ah,
So beyond using a platform like theperfectdeveloper.com,
yeah.
is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind when hiring a Visual Studio developer?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember to thoroughly assess their skills before hiring them.
Okay.
Don't just rely on their resume
Right.
or their self-proclaimed expertise.
So how can you test those skills effectively?
Coding challenges
Right.
or even a small trial project
Mm-hmm.
can be really valuable in gauging their true abilities
Right.
and seeing how they approach problem solving.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
You want to make sure they can actually walk the walk,
Exactly.
not just talk the talk.
During the interview process, don't just focus on technical skills.
Okay.
Ask about their experience working in agile environments, their communication style,
Yeah.
and their ability to collaborate with others.
So those soft skills are just as important as the technical chops.
Absolutely. You're not just hiring a coding machine.
Right.
You're hiring someone who's going to be part of your team.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure they're a good cultural fit as well.
Yeah, you've given our listeners so much to think about.
Hopefully it's been helpful.
Any last piece of advice before we wrap up this mini deep dive?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay.
Hiring can be daunting,
Yeah.
especially in the fast-paced world of technology.
And that's where theperfectdeveloper.com comes in.
Exactly. They're there to guide you every step of the way.
Remember, finding the right Visual Studio developer can be a real game changer for your business.
It sounds like it can help you level up your entire development game.
I think so.
Well, this has been an incredibly informative deep dive.
It has been fun.
Thank you for breaking down all the complexities of hiring Visual Studio developers. I feel like I've gained a whole new level of understanding.
Glad to hear it.
I know our listeners will find this information incredibly valuable as they navigate their own hiring journeys.
Good.
But before we say goodbye,
Mm-hmm.
I want to remind everyone about that amazing tool we mentioned earlier, the 5 questions.
Yeah.
Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and give it a try.
It's a good one.
It's a quick, easy, and free way
Yeah.
to get personalized developer recommendations tailored to your specific needs.
Absolutely.
You won't regret it. And just like that, we've reached the end of our mini deep dive into the world of Visual Studio developers.
It went by fast.
But before we officially sign off,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder.
It's all about finding the right fit, isn't it?
It really is.
Remember, the beauty of Visual Studio developers is their expertise in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
They're your go-to experts for anything from like classic Windows apps to cutting-edge cloud solutions.
Right.
But as we've discussed,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to consider than just knowing the technical stuff.
Definitely.
Right? You've got to find someone who aligns with your project needs, your company culture, and your budget.
For sure.
It's like finding that missing puzzle piece that completes the picture.
I like that analogy.
And remember, theperfectdeveloper.com can be your guide in this journey.
They can.
They take the complexity out of hiring and make it feel almost effortless.
Yeah, it really simplifies the whole process.
Seriously, the 5 questions tool is a game changer.
I agree.
It's like having a personal recruiter in your pocket.
Right at your fingertips.
So what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Go check it out at theperfectdeveloper.com and see how they can help you find your perfect Visual Studio developer match.
It's a great resource.
Until next time, happy coding.